Okay, so um, if you read through chapter 16 of Genesis, it goes into once again Ishmael being the son of Hagar, Sarai's handmaid, but the promises would go to uh, through Abraham's lineage. The promises would go through the son that his wife Sarai bare to him. Now, when you go to chapter 17, Genesis chapter 17, and when Abram was 90 years old and 99 years old, and when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me, and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither, verse 5, shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee, and I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will, verse 7, very important, and I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee, in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. Okay, so this once again is very important. It's very key to the situation. When you are calling yourself these other nations, your God is not dealing with you. You are not dealing with your God. Understand that when you want to call yourself an African or whatever else you want to call yourself, if you are not understanding that you're an Israelite and keeping the laws, statutes, and judgments of your God, He's not dealing with you. Just like He told Abram, okay, which we read before, when He said, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. Okay, a precept to that would be many, but Joshua that I can think of off the top of my head, Joshua I believe is 1 and 9, where he says that when you shall not depart from this law, you shall not turn from the right and left, because when you walk in the law, then you shall have good success. And this is something that our people to this day have not grasped. Okay, we're not going to prosper unless we're dealing with our God. So you can have all these different organizations. You can have all these different groups. You can call yourself what you want to. You can even identify with the fact that we're not prospering as a people. But how can you come together and prosper as a people when we're all these different things? How is that possible? I mean, when you think about what Matthew is a very key scripture to our situation, and in Mark, okay, a nation divided against itself cannot stand. You can't stand together and prosper and work together and do businesses and function together when we all think that we're all these different religions. Okay, that's the problem. We are a nation of people that have been given laws, statutes, and commandments, yet we think we're all these other nations. And that statement that I just made is very key. Okay, and I want to go into that because the laws, statutes, and commandments of the living power, the one and the creator of heaven and earth, he gave that to us. That is what puts us above everything else. That puts us above all nations. That is what puts us above everything, because it's making us, it's his ways. Okay, and that's holy, that's set apart, that's separate. All right, when you are loving your neighbor as yourself, that is something to be admired and to be reverenced. That is something to not be a proverb in a negative way, but in a admiration type of way, when you're loving your neighbor as yourself, and when you're keeping I mean, when you read in the law of how to deal as far as business wise, as far as everything, you know, it makes you better. It makes you better. That's clear. But our people cannot seem to grasp that. Like it's like they don't want that because they want to do otherwise. For example, if you're saying that you're an African or an Egyptian, you can eat anything you want to eat. You can eat swine. You can eat all the shellfish and the abomination, the filtration systems of the sea. Or when you're putting that in your body and then you wonder why you're sick. Okay, you can eat that. That's not a command if you feel as though you're not an Israelite. You can do. That's the problem without having the law. Anything goes. You can do whatever you want. And that is the biggest issue I believe with our people. And that's why I went to Deuteronomy and Ezekiel in the beginning. Because it's about rebellion. It isn't about, at this point in time, it isn't hard, especially if you're a so-called conscious, quote unquote, black person or whatever. If you're conscious, then you know that Jesus is black. That's not news to you if you're a conscious person. So if you understand that, then you understand that he's a Jew, he's a Hebrew, he's an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. Hebrews 7:14, Revelations 5:5. I mean, we can go through so many scriptures to give you his lineage when you begin in the beginning of the chapter. I mean, of the book of Matthew, the first chapter, and also in Luke. It gives you the lineage of Judah. So that's where the term Jew comes from, Judah, and really there's no J's in the Hebrew, but that's we'll get to that later. That's something else. But as you know it, if you understand it that the Messiah was black, you understand that Christ was black, which come on, most conscious people understand that, or you should if you're calling yourself conscious. Then if you read in the scriptures, Revelations, the first chapter, okay, it clearly describes him. When you read in Daniel, the 10th chapter, and Daniel, the 7th chapter, it clearly describes the Most High, the Father, and the angels. When you read in Ezekiel and when you read throughout the scriptures, it clearly describes them as being black men. That's clear. I mean, this is fact here. This is fact. So if you claim that the scriptures are not a book for people of color, then where are you reading? Where are you reading? And what is it that you're ignoring that you don't want to see so that you could continue to do what you want to do? Because once again, when you're not claiming to be an Israelite, anything goes with you. You can eat what you want, you can do what you want, you can worship these other deities because that's what Africans do, or so-called Hamites. That's what they do. All the other nations, when you read in Deuteronomy, I believe it's the 18th chapter, okay, each nation was given a god and a land. All right, so they're dealing with their gods, so they're okay. But when you go to do that, your God is not dealing with you, which puts you beneath them. Okay, that's what it is. And so, for whatever reason, our people have this infatuation with the deities of the other nations, and that turns our God against us. But then yet you want to come and you want to say, we need to figure out what's wrong with our community, and we need to do this and we need to do that. But I mean, let's be realistic. Our people, when you go through the history, since we've been in this country, since we've been out of the physical chains, because mentally we're still enslaved, since we've come out of the physical and systematically we're still enslaved. All right, and that tells you that in the book of Baruch and the Apocrypha. Okay, we are subject unto payments at this point. That's the form of slavery it's come to at this point. All right. When you read, when you look at that, you know what I'm saying? You understand that, this is the case because our God is not dealing with us because we're not doing what he says to do. The other nations are doing and worshiping their gods, but we try to do that. That puts us subject to them. That puts us under. Our God is not dealing with us. He's trying to show you something. But the point that I wanted to go to about it is that in this captivity, our people have, since we've come out of the physical chains, our people have clearly had, we've had businesses, we've had the Black Wall Street, you've had the Rosewood, the thing, you've had all of these You've had even you can read even from at the time that we actually came up. We were officers and just as you see today, really. We had this is in the 1800s. This is after slavery. We had things, but then it became, I guess, maybe a threat. I'm not a guess. I'm very you think of course that's what it is. To the establishment, and they began putting laws and all these type of other things in place to keep us oppressed. And so my point being is that we've had authoritative positions, we've had government positions, we've had all of these things already, and still as a people we're not together, we're not prospering as a nation. So what more do you need to understand that A, this is a land of captivity, it is not meant for us to prosper here. And then B, we've already had these things. You've seen the outcomes of that. Because in the process of having these things, these movements, this is why I don't like to say, about the natural hair movement, because a movement moves on. It's something going on. It's something going on at that time, but it moves on. Okay, but a change is it really comes from within and from understanding of self. And why should it be a movement to be yourself? Because that's the same thing I hear about this Hebrew Israelite movement. It's not a movement. That's prophecy being fulfilled. This is a change in remembering of self. Okay, there's a huge difference. There's a difference, and as you can see, these other look at the movements, quote unquote, in history. You got had the civil rights movement. Now you look at your people at this day and time. I think it might be a little worse off because we don't have really too much of anything for ourselves. Um, we really don't, and we're all divided to a point where it's just like really ridiculous. And we also don't understand that we're actually still oppressed. We don't we that has been moved out of the picture. It was a movement. Okay, so the point is that we have to understand what is going on here. And there was a covenant made with our forefathers and our God for us to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. That's why he said to Abraham, he changed his name and he told him in Genesis 17:1. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me and be thou perfect. Meaning, understand to walk before him means to walk in his laws, statutes, and commandments. That is what that is. All right, so verse 7, and I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. All right, in verse 9, and God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. All right, and he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And when we read on, it goes into that. But this is the another part of the reason the Messiah came. Okay, because now with the new covenant, because our forefathers, which that's an understanding you must have, broke the covenant. They continuously did not keep the laws, statutes, and commandments and walk in the ways of the Lord. Okay, they broke it. And that is why the Messiah came and established the new covenant, whereas though he was the ultimate sacrifice and shed his blood to bring us back to the Father, to bring us back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. All right. So let's go to 19. This is Genesis 17 and 19. And God says, Sarah, thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. All right. And then we're going to jump down, and we can read 20 to it, because Ishmael, all right, this is where you get, most of the Muslims, as you would say, this is that this is the doctrine of Ishmael. All right, but for it's verse 20, and as for Ishmael, I have heard thee, behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful, and I will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. Verse 21, but my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. All right. And so we're gonna let's get to this. When you read on, you read in the destruction of the Sodom and Gomorrah. Then we want to go to let's see uh we'll go to verse 20, chapter 21. I'm sorry, chapter 21, Genesis 21 and 1. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded him. All right, and Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. All right, now let's go to want to go to when we get to Jacob. Okay, because this is where Israel comes in. This is why you're at Hebrew. This is where Hebrew Israelite comes from. It comes from Jacob. Okay, so we read already that Abraham was a Hebrew. So remember that God said he would establish his covenant with him and his seed after him. He made it clear that he had a specific lineage of whom he wanted to establish his covenant with, because he did not establish it with Ishmael, who was the son of the Egyptian, the Hamite. Okay, so he was half Shemite and half Hamite. All right, he did not establish the covenant with Ishmael, but he established the covenant with the son that the Shemite, Sarah, Abraham's wife, bare to him, Isaac. So he's establishing his covenant with the seed of Abraham from a complete lineage of Shem. Okay. So then we're gonna go to, let's see, go to I'm gonna get to Jacob. Uh, so we know that Jacob was the son of Isaac. Yeah, we need to get that. Okay, so we got here Genesis. We're talking about Jacob. Now, understand where the term Hebrew Israelite comes from, where the nation of the Hebrew Israelites comes from. Okay, because if you want to consider Hebrews, all right, you could say that there are other. You have Edom. Esau was the son of Isaac, as well as Jacob. Ishmael was the son of Abraham as well as Isaac, but there was a specific lineage that the Most High chose. Okay, so let's see. Mm, Well, okay, so let's go. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Padan-aram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb. 2 nations are nations. Nations, all right? Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Okay, so here we have the birth of Jacob and Esau from Isaac, where we just read previously that the Most High, that the Lord was establishing his covenant with the seed of Abraham through Isaac. So here we have two sons born to Isaac. All right, they're twins, two separate manner, two nations of people were delivered and separated from her bowels once they were born. Okay. Now let's keep going. We're going to get I actually let's just to get to Jacob and you know where it's established with him. All right, we're gonna go to, so we see now we've read through the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and now Jacob. All right, now this is Genesis 35 and um let's see. Hmm. Let's go to 32 and 24. Genesis 32 and 24. And Jacob, as we read, the son of Isaac, was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be no more called Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with the Most High and with men, and hast prevailed. So you see here, here is where Jacob's name is changed to Israel. Your name shall not be called Jacob anymore, but Israel. Now, Israel means prince of the power. That is what that means. Okay? And that is where you get the Israelite from. Because the people, Israel or Jacob, when you read in the scriptures, you'll see it interchanged. Jacob, Israel. Israel is Jacob. Jacob is Israel. Then Jacob had sons. He had 12 sons. And they became a nation when they went down into Egypt. You'll read on that when you read through Genesis that the sons were jealous of Joseph, one of the his wife's sons, his other wife Rachel, and they sold him into Egypt, into bondage, and then they uh, ended up, there was a famine, like we spoke of before, that had happened before. There was a famine in the land of Canaan where they were, and they went down into Egypt. Okay, and the Most High told him that this would happen. Um, and so when you read on, I mean, and specifically, you want to go to Genesis. Let's see, Exodus actually. Uh, no, let's go to Genesis 35. Let's go to Genesis 35 and 22. And it came to pass when Israel, so who we read before in chapter 32, that he's now called Israel. This is Jacob. And when it came to pass when Israel dwelt in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah his father's concubine, and Israel heard it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simeon, and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin. And the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob, which were born to him in Padanaram. And Jacob came unto Isaac his father in memory unto the city of Arba, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac sojourned. And the days of Isaac were 180 years, and Isaac gave up the ghost and was gathered unto his people, being old and full of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. So, but let's go to where the Most High establishes his covenant with Jacob, with Israel.